Hello everyone, my name is Mauro and I'm from Crusader Coaching, and welcome to another one of our growth webinar series. Today we are going to talk about something ordinary. And that sounds kind of boring, but in this time that we're going through right now, this COVID-19 pandemic, I think a lot of us have come to really miss our normal lives and our normal routines, and we've come to really miss ordinary because of what's been going on. And to talk about that topic, today we are joined by a very special guest. Once again, I'd like to welcome Dr. Dennis from Total Health Chiropractic. How are you doing today, Doctor?
Very good. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you again. Or rather, it's a pleasure to have you here with me again.
As you can see, we're still practicing social distancing, so there's no risk of infection going on here.
Exactly. So today we'll be talking about, getting back into the normalcy of things. It's been a rough, what's it been?
Couple of months now.
Couple of months. And now things are starting to ease up a bit, and people are getting back to some semblance of how things were before. And we're all still a little bit anxious and not sure exactly if things are going to go back to the way it was. And it may not happen right away. It may take several months, possibly years before we get back to that. But it's important that we adapt to the new normal and we continue to push forward.
Yeah. So last time we talked about how to grow during this time, right? Last time we talked about how we can use this time of COVID-19 to really help us grow in our personal, and our professional endeavors. And today I want to talk a little bit about how we can use this time to actually, help us go back to normal. And I think one of the most important things that we can do as human beings in order for us to feel normal is to create routines in our lives that help us to have some level of normalcy in our lives. And so today we're going to talk about several different routines and options that can help level up all three aspects of the human body, which is the body, the mind, and the soul. So all three aspects of the human person that we can really level up. And last time we talked about the idea of being able to level up your body from working out from home. So we talked a little bit about having some exercises that you can do from home, and it can be anything, right? It can be push-ups, sit-ups, planks, whatever it is you came up with. Today I want to talk about some more of the nutritional things that we can do in order for us to really help level up our bodies. And one of the main things that I want to talk about today is the idea of intermittent fasting. Have you ever heard of this idea, Doctor? Intermittent fasting?
I have. There's lots of different ways of dieting and eating, and intermittent fasting has been proven to be effective. I know a lot of people do it, and it has a lot of benefits. Benefits such as improving your metabolism, of course, losing weight, and also, promoting focus, keeping you more focused.
Yeah.
So definitely some benefits to intermittent fasting.
Yeah. And one of the things that I really like about intermittent fasting is that, like the doctor mentioned, is that there are several different ways to do it. And for example, as a health coach, I always test things on myself first before I recommend them to clients. So for example, when there were new health trends emerging, whether if they were the paleo diet, Mediterranean, the keto diet, intermittent fasting, well, these are all things that I experimented on myself first. And what I found is, what I find to be one of the most effective tools has actually been intermittent fasting. And the reason why I enjoy intermittent fasting so much is because, as you said, the value of the intermittent fasting goes far beyond simply the nutritional benefits to it. So intermittent fasting, for those of you that don't know, is an idea that you restrict a certain time frame in which you have all your meals. So let's say, for example, you pick an 8-hour window, and let's say it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And between that window of time, you have all your meals, whether if it's 1 meal, 2 meals, 3 meals, whatever. But the idea is that you consume all your calories in that 8-hour window, and then you don't eat after you're cut off, and you don't eat until the following day. So for example, my personal intermittent fasting routine, because I've been intermittent fasting now every single day for the last several months, even on weekends, has been typically, it'll be between my start time will be between 10 and noon, and then my end time will be between 6 and 8. So I personally maintain an 8-hour window where I eat, and then for 16 hours, I don't eat at all. I have no calories whatsoever. And so there are some people who have longer windows, some people who have 10 or 12-hour windows, and then there are some people who have really short windows, like 4-hour windows, where they'll have like really big meal, and then they won't eat until the following day. And what I found is that with this eating style, it's actually something that we actually used to do a long time ago. So thousands of years ago, when we were hunters and gatherers, that is actually how they ate. So there were times where they would go on a hunt and they would find, whether if it was a big bison, a boar, or some sort of other savage animal, and they would kill it, and they would have meat for days, and they would be able to feed their families because of how much meat. And of course, after a few days, well, the meat would spoil and go bad, so they had no refrigeration at that point. But the point is that they would eat like that, and then there would be days where they would go out and hunt, and they would find nothing. And so they had to somehow survive, even though they would go hunting every day. Well, sometimes they come back with a big haul, sometimes they come back with nothing. So the human body is actually accustomed to be able to go certain hours of time without eating. Because people think that, man, I'm going to starve. If I try this intermittent fasting thing, I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to last. Well, you actually will. Your body is designed to be able to tolerate by going certain hours or windows of time without eating. And so it's perfectly healthy. I know a lot of clients, including myself, I've personally lost about 10 or 12 pounds doing this. I've had clients who have lost anywhere from 10 to 20 to 30 pounds, depending on how long they do it for. So if you sustain this routine for several months, well, of course, you'll keep losing weight. But other than just the nutritional aspect, one thing that I've really come to admire about this is the increased level of focus. What happens is, when you constantly eat meal after meal after meal after meal, you have these ups and downs, these spikes. Your blood sugar increases and then your blood sugar decreases. And so what happens is when you have all these spikes up and down, it really messes with your head, and it also messes with your focus. So by eating so often and by having your blood sugar go up and down, it's actually not really good for your body to go through those highs and lows. A lot of people tend to experience those crashes like mid-morning and like mid-afternoon because they have breakfast and then their blood sugar goes up and then it goes down. And then after lunch, it goes up and then it goes down. So having these multiple meals a day causes you to lose focus because your blood sugar is constantly going up and down. That's one thing. And the other thing too is that when you're constantly digesting food, all of your blood goes to your stomach. And when you have less blood flow in your body, while your brain is receiving less blood, it's receiving less oxygen, and it also experiences a loss of focus because you don't have as many nutrients being circulated throughout your body.
That's correct.
Yeah. And that's one of the main reasons why fasting is so beneficial. And also, for those of you in our audience who happen to be of either a Jewish or a Christian background, Jesus talked about that, and so did the Old Testament as well, the value of fasting and how fasting can really help you spiritually as well as a way to be able to better combat some of these, some of these difficult times that we have, especially COVID-19 is definitely one. So for those of you who practice one of those faiths, there's a huge amount of spiritual benefit as well to incorporating intermittent fasting into your life.
That's correct. And I also want to mention or just give a small addendum that if this is something that sounds good to you and maybe you're thinking about trying it, because everybody's different, and so we want to make sure that it's safe. So if you have any condition, maybe you're diabetic, you might want to consult your primary care physician for engaging, because as we know, if you already have difficulties with your sugar levels, then perhaps doing a little bit of research would be good before trying this kind of diet.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. There's always that try it before you buy it, right? And so it's actually interesting, because this type of diet, depending on how severe diabetes may or may not be, is actually one of the best things you can do. The research has shown it's actually one of the best things they can do, because it really helps to stabilize people's sugar, especially if you have type 2 diabetes. If you have those ups and downs all the time, because then they have to put, you have to insulin is for type 1, but you constantly have to check your sugar like every few hours to make sure that it's not getting too high. Right. So definitely always, anything always do your own research, always educate yourself, 100%. We always want to make sure that you receive good quality information, and of course check it out. And always remember to consult with your healthcare professional. As Dr. Dennis always said, we always want to make sure that people stay healthy, because that's super important. And so the intermittent fasting helps from a macro perspective. So you have two types of nutrients. You have your macronutrients, which are your fats, your carbs, and your proteins. And then you have your micronutrients, which are your vitamins and your minerals. And one of the things that is super important for keeping your body and your mind healthy is to make sure that you have the proper amount of nutrition when it comes from the vitamins and minerals perspective. And I know that Dr. Dennis wanted to talk a little bit about this idea of isotonics and how that can help with that.
Right, there's lots of different vitamins out there that you can take, but one of the ones that I use or promote in my office is Isotonics. You can see this big poster behind me.
Right there.
It's a very good product. It promotes cardiovascular health, actually helps to decrease blood pressure and just provide overall health. And it really goes well with the intermittent fasting because it actually works best on an empty stomach.
That's convenient.
And so, if you're already engaging in intermittent fasting, then you're accustomed to, having periods of no food intake. And so if you simply take the isotonic, which is in a powder form, it's actually rapidly absorbed into the body, and so you get the effects almost immediately. So isotonic is something that I strongly recommend. I take it myself. I take it every day, and I see a difference, and I see a difference in all the people that I know that's taken isotonics.
And I've used it several times, and I'll tell you what, it gives you a nice little boost of energy. The last time I took it a couple of weeks ago, I remember just taking it instantly, because I've been fasting already. I remember taking it and I felt great. It gave me a little bit of an extra edge on my workout, I remember. It worked really well.
Yeah.
It was really good. So definitely, it's a great way to supplement whatever meals you're having. And the most important thing, especially now, is when you have a good amount of vitamins and minerals in your system, it also helps to increase your immune system. Vitamins like C, minerals like zinc, really help to improve your immune system, which is great for fighting a pandemic. So I can't think of a better time to want to focus on keeping your immune system healthy by vitamins and minerals.
And all of those that you just mentioned are actually included in the isotonics as well.
How convenient.
Yeah. So, it's a good product.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And to kind of wrap up a little bit about the one of the routines and the normalcy. So I know that a lot of people, and the temptation was there for me too for several things. I know that a lot of people right now, because of COVID-19, have broken some of their routines and have found themselves in a new normal, and they've broken apart from the routines and the things that they were doing before. And I'll tell you what, there were days where it was really easy for me to throw in the towel too. And there were days where I really felt like breaking my routines. And one of the things that really helped me in keeping my routines was actually having a daily win system. And this was actually introduced to me by one of my own coaches as a way to keep myself productive. And what it is, basically, the daily win system, it's something that you do, it's one thing you do every single day, that as long as you do that one thing, you've won the day. And it can be anything. It can be something as simple as calling one prospect. It could be something that perhaps you don't enjoy doing, like maybe it's something you've been procrastinating, a task, whether if it's cleaning the house, vacuuming, whether if it's talking to somebody, whether if it's filing your taxes, whether maybe you've been procrastinating on that. Or it can be something that you've been working towards, like a goal that you've had in your life. Maybe it's a workout. Maybe it's starting a new business. Maybe it's something that you want to start that is exciting for you, but you haven't started. And so one thing that has helped keep me productive during COVID-19 has been having one of those things that no matter what, I do it and I win the day.
What are some of those things that you've done?
Today was this webinar because of the COVID-19, I have not been able to do my in-person workshops. I can't because I can't have people gather. And so one of the major things for me during this time was, how am I going to keep my speaking going? How am I going to keep my coaching going if I can't do in-life workshops? Oh, well, what if I try doing online stuff? So my daily win was for today was to actually film this webinar. My daily win for yesterday was actually completing a full 1 hour acrobatics-based workout. Because since the martial arts academy is closed, where I train at, I can't train there. So I have to train by myself. I have to train at home. So yesterday, my daily win was finishing my 1 hour acrobatics workout where I worked on my cartwheels, I worked on my forward rolls, I worked on my one-handed cartwheels, I worked on my acrobatic kicks, so on and so forth. So those are 2 daily wins. And it's really helped keep me going because the way that I do it is I write them down. So I have a journal, which is actually right there behind the camera. I have a journal where I write down what my daily wins are, and I like to plan them at the start of the week. So that way I know for the entire week, what are my daily wins? Tomorrow, my daily win is to actually go see my grandparents because I haven't been able to see them as often. So that's my daily win. So the point is that it can be anything. It can be something mundane, something routine, or it can be something really exciting. The point is that when you have a daily win, it injects your life with motivation, and you feel better about yourself because no matter what, the ball is rolling. And that's the idea behind the daily win system, is keeping the ball rolling no matter what.
Very good. I too do that as well. I do like to, compile a list of different things and try to get them done. I would say that one thing that I try to do at least once a day is to, get a office report done.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because, I always have so many reports to do. And, I find that if I do at least once a day, I'm never behind. And I hate being behind. Another thing that I like to do is I like to do at least one exercise a day, whether it's walking or riding my bike, or maybe just doing some, calisthenics at home.
That's great.
But I try to do at least one routine a day just to get the metabolism going. I have a sit down type of work. So I sit a lot. I'm always writing, doing reports and stuff like that. And so I want to make sure that I keep my body moving, keep my blood flow going. And so, I try to carve out 30 or 45 minutes in which I can walk, ride a bike, or, just do some exercise. Maybe I'll even box one day.
Nice.
So, whatever is comfortable for you to do. I'm a little bit older than Mauro, so I can't do the acrobatics and the different things, and some people might not be able to do the push-ups and the different things. But there's always something that you can do, and for sure everyone can walk. So there's always something that everyone can do to stay healthy, to keep their blood flow going, and to keep their energy up.
The most important thing, as Dr. Dennis said, is to get something and to keep it going. Regardless of what stage you are at, whether if you are a beginner and you've never really worked out before, or if you are someone advanced who's been working out for years and you have already your set standard and you already have your goals. The point now is to just create something and keep it steady. That's the most important thing, because that's the powerful thing about a routine, is that we are creatures of habit, and we can use that for our benefit, or we can also use that for our downfall. Because a lot of people talk about, man, I can't break my bad habits. Well, that's actually a very good example of the power of habits, because when you have a bad habit, it is still a habit. And so if you have trouble breaking a bad habit, well, you're also going to have trouble breaking a good habit too. Because once a habit is formed, it's hard to break, whether if it's a good one or a bad one. So we can use the power of habits and routines for our benefit. And one of the most powerful things to do, as one of my coaches told me, is if I have a bad habit, I want to replace it with a good habit. So if I have a bad habit of smoking, for example, or if I have a bad habit of overeating, well, I want to replace that bad habit with a good habit. I want to replace the bad habit of me smoking with the new habit of me having lungs that can breathe better. I want to be able to breathe better. I want to replace my habit of smoking with chewing gum. I want to replace my habit of overeating with overeating nutritional foods, with drinking more water, with eating more vegetables, with eating more nutritious proteins. So you substitute the bad habits for the new ones that are good for you, and then for the habits that you don't have formed, well, all you got to do is pick something and start. I'll tell you what, this habit, I've had days, we all have these moments in our days where we feel tired or out of it, or maybe we feel, for whatever reason, mentally out of it. I'll tell you what, because I formed this habit of working out at a specific time every single day, I have my window. I work out between the hours of 4 and 6. 4 and 6, okay? That's the window that I create. So because I have created that window, even if I don't feel like working out, because I have the habit, I don't want to break it. I don't want to break it. Because I've been doing it for the last, we've been in COVID-19 for almost 2 months now. Yeah. I've been doing it for the last 2 months, Monday through Friday. I don't want to break the habit. I don't want to lose it, Even if I'm tired, I don't care. I still do it anyway. And that's the power of routines and habits. So in your life, what are the habits you want to form? What are the routines you want to create? Whatever they might be, create a system around it. Make it a daily win, okay? You can level up your body, your mind, and your spirit so long as you have some sort of system to back it up. And once you create a system, most of the energy is up front. So once you've created something, it's very easy to keep it going. Last time we talking about making shifts, right? So, COVID-19 is a great opportunity for you to really look at your life and think about, well, what is something I've always wanted to do that I haven't been doing? Or do I want to make a shift in my career? Do I want to make a shift in some of my relationships? Do I want to start to focus? I've talked to people like, man, Mauro, like one of the best benefits of COVID-19 is that I've connected with people that I haven't talked to in months or years. Families now are coming together, virtually. And people are celebrating birthdays and having Zoom calls and even having Zoom graduations. A client of mine knows someone in his neighborhood where he lives, and they did a drive-by graduation where everybody came and they stayed in their cars and they all celebrated together. And it's like, it's these unique ways that people have to come and get together. And so today, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of having cash projects and having passion projects. And that's a great way to help develop right now a new routine. So I wanted to preface that with a little bit of a story. So I've been doing personal training for about 10 years now. And about a few years ago, I started making the transition to doing life coaching because I wanted to help people from a perspective, not just physically, but I wanted to help people out in a more holistic way. And I wanted to help people tap into their dreams and their goals in every area of life, not just physical. And what I realized is that, I've been making my income from personal training. So if I were to stop completely personal training and only do coaching, that would probably put me on the street because I can't just take all of my money. I would lose it. It's like if I drop all my clients right now and I just do full-time coaching, I have to build that up, right? And so in life, we have lots of passions and things that we want to pursue. Some will make us money, some won't.
How do you balance the two?
You have to balance. The question is, so there's many different ways of doing that. And we talked about the idea of having a system, right? Having a routine. And so the way that I've done it is I've noticed that in the fitness industry, the majority of people either want to work out either in the morning or in the evening.
Right.
That's the majority of people. They want to work out either before work or after work. People who have businesses or have careers, for example. So what I did was I blocked out a certain time for my personal training clients. So I know that every single day between the hours of 6 in the morning until 11, that is my dedicated slot for personal training clients. I personally don't like to work out in the evening. I just don't like to train clients at that time, so I don't. But I had a couple clients at one point that I was training after work, and then I cycled out of that. But the point is that I took my day and I divided it into two phases. I divided it into my personal training time, and then I divided it into my coaching time. That's how I did it, as a way to keep myself structured. So I know that I can do my coaching calls in the afternoon and in the evening with my coaching clients. And right now I have a couple of evening clients, and I call them after work. And so that's how I did it. That's how I balanced the transition of making sure I don't starve, having money coming in as a cash project, but I can still work on my passion project at the same time. I have one client, for example, who is starting her own coaching practice, and she actually wanted to coach with me because she knew that I was doing life coaching already for several years. So she is actually working right now as a dietitian. So she works as a nutritionist, but she also moonlights now as a life coach because she wants to help people, much like I did. Very similar story, her and I. The point is that right now she has one client. If she were to stop her nutritional job, she would starve. She would go broke because with that one client, she doesn't make enough money to pay all her bills. But the point is that when it comes to passion projects, you have to start somewhere. So even if you only have one client, that one client becomes two clients, those two clients become four. And before you know it, you've grown your passion project to a certain point where now you no longer have to work as a nutritionist, and you can make that transition. Now, some people choose to make that transition quicker or slower depending on what their situation is. So for example, I had a client one time that was married and had kids. And so their personal level of responsibility is higher than somebody who's single. And so if you're starting a business, for example, you might start off part-time. So you might start off putting maybe 4 or 5 hours a week into that passion business. And so it's still growing, but at the same time, you're putting food on the table. You're still able to provide for your kids. You're still able to do all the things you were doing before. But if you put in those 4 or 5 hours a week, you multiply that over months and years, well, before you know it, that one little tiny idea of a passion project can become, depending on how you scale it or depending on where you want it to go, it can become a 6-figure or 7-figure business if you scale it properly. So the point is that if you want to have a passion level project in your life, sometimes people don't do it because they think, well, I have to throw myself all in. Not necessarily. You don't have to. You can start off small and grow it little by little, which is what I've done personally. If I were to take my life, for example, and say, what is my time division between my health coaching and then my actual life and speaking business? Now it's actually at 50-50. Whereas maybe last year it was like 80-20. So it's like, okay. So it's like you can see progress. Whereas it was only a small part, now it's a pretty significant portion of what I do, where I put my time and my money. So there's ways to scale it.
And that's a very smart way to transition. It's safe. It gives you time to mature in your true passion, which is life coaching. And actually, I, can apply that to myself as well, because I went through a phase like that.
Yeah.
Before I started my practice full time, I associated with an office for a little while, for a few days a week, and I practiced in my own office for a few days a week because, at first you're not sure if you're going to have, like you said, enough, in my case, patience to supplement the business. As a result, I continued working part-time for a little while for supplemental income. And once I was able to mature and grow into my business, I was able to completely wean out of that associate position and dive full-time into my own practice, where I was able to practice in a way that was more suitable to myself, and I was able to help people the way I wanted to help people, and do different things like some pro bono work, but you need enough business coming in order for you to be able to provide a lot of pro bono work for people that are less fortunate. So by having my own practice, I was able to help not just people that could afford it, but people that didn't have an income for whatever reason at the time.
Yeah. That's actually how I got a lot of my coaching experience. Actually, was coaching people for free, especially in the beginning, where you've done. It's funny because I remember
Giver's gain, huh?
Giver's gain. That's something that we have in our business networking group that we talk about all the time. The idea of giver's gain, where you give and without the expectation of getting something back. But when you give without that expectation, it always finds a way back somehow, in some way, shape, or form. You could call it karma, call it blessings, but it always comes back in some way, shape, or form. And I remember that when I first started off life coaching, my first coach told me, he's like, you've had a lot of informal coaching practice, because one of the things about personal training is that because it's one-on-one, you can really build a lot of rapport with your clients. And I had clients telling me about their marriages, I had clients telling me about their kids, I had clients telling me about things that they don't talk about on a daily basis with people, even people whom they know. Because how much time one-on-one do you spend with somebody? And with your personal trainer, if you're seeing them 2, 3, 4 times a week, and you see them an hour each time, you're spending a lot of one-on-one time. And I got,
you end up becoming their personal counselor in a way.
In a way, you do, and most of the time I would just listen, And what I found was that even just that was valuable. And it's funny because I remember I had a client tell me one time, and I've never paid anybody so much money for them to just be quiet and just listen to me, And so it's funny because a lot of times as a coach, there's actually value in silence. Because sometimes one of the things that I realized as a coach is that sometimes you think you have to give them the answer. You have to come in and save the day. Well, sometimes one of the best things you can do for someone is just listen and then let them speak. And then by them speaking and having, even if it's just a soundboard, sometimes they find their own answers. And it's funny because it works. And so I really learned the power of silence, the power of how to just listen and just be present for somebody, and even that be something of value, as opposed to me saying, well, what about this? Or have you tried this? Or you know what I mean? Like giving options. Sometimes just listening has been an amazing tool to help coach people out of whatever funks that they have.
Yeah, sometimes the answer comes to you when you talk about your problems.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people just need to let it out.
Yeah. I call it, the venting time.
Right.
Sometimes you have I remember something, it actually happened to me last week. I had a client who, she came in the call, she's like, I got to vent. I said, okay. So the first 10 minutes was just her speaking, and I just listened. And sometimes it's something that you have to just let happen. You have to just let it out. And you just let it out, and then by releasing that negative energy, you level head, and then you can focus on what's really going on and how you can help level up whatever aspects that you have coming.
Absolutely.
And that's a valuable thing that I guess kind of just hoping organically it wasn't something that we were going to talk about today, but there's a lot of value in the power of silence and just really being present for somebody, whether if it's something you do professionally like me or something you just do for a family member. There's a lot of value in just being there for somebody, and I think that's very appropriate for the time that we're going through right now. One of the best things you can do right now is be there for somebody. It is be a friend. Call somebody. Be a friend. Be a family member. Just reach out to somebody and just have a conversation. Just check in with them. And that could actually be a passion project. A great way to give back is to give back to your loved ones. Give back to those who are closest to you. Give back to your friends. Give back to your family. Just give back with your time and give back with your energy and just be present for somebody. That's a great way to give back and kind of experience that giver's gain. You just be there for somebody, During this time, I think that's a very precious commodity that we can have, that we can really turn this time into something really beneficial. Is to just by being present. So, I wanted to wrap up by saying a little quick summary of what we talked about today. So, talking a little bit about we talked today about the power of routines and normalcy and how that can level up your life, both physically, spiritually, and mentally as well. We talked about creating powerful new routines and the value of having something that is measurable. So a daily win system, for example, having one thing that you do every single day that will, no matter what, make that day a win. And we talked about the value of intermittent fasting to level up your body physically. And we talked about isotonics as well as a way to add more nutrition to your body as well and to help increase your focus mentally and spiritually as well. Then we talked a little bit about the idea of passion projects and cash projects as a way to help make shifts in your life. So for example, if you've always wanted to start a new business or if you've always wanted to undertake a new hobby, well, you don't have to sacrifice your stable income in order to do that right away. So you can still have cash projects that keep food on the table while still dedicating part-time, some of your time every single week, into growing whatever passions
so being able to balance the two. And
balancing the two, and however that shows up for you right now in your life. And one way to do that, I talked about this in my workshops, is the superpower hour, where you carve out either 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week where you use that time to focus on whatever superpower you want to build. And that can be either a cash project or a passion project as well. So superpower hour, where you dedicate 1 hour a day or 1 hour a week of completely focused, uninterrupted time on developing whatever thing that is. It's very catchy, superpower hour. And other than that, I think that about sums it up for today's webinar.
I believe so. I think we had a good bit of information to share. I hope that everyone watching walk away with something positive. I know I did. As far as sharing it with you, these are all stuff that I practice in my own life, and I hope that you will use it in some way, shape, or form to the benefit of yours as well.
Yeah. The most important thing right now, guys, is getting into action. So just right now, my call to action for you is just make your next daily win. Whatever that may be, just right now, pick one thing that would be a daily win for you today. Get into action now. I find that information is great, but transformation is even better. So we want your life to transform for the better. So pick one thing from this video that stood out to you, one thing that was of high value to you, and just do it right now. And then watch how easy it is to keep it going. That's the power of a routine. All it takes is one time to create a new habit, or one time to defeat a bad habit, and it gets easier each and every single time. So get into action right now, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to reach out to someone, reach out. If you want to change your life by adding something new to your life, then the best thing that I can tell you is to not wait. Tomorrow is not promised. Someday is not on the calendar. The only thing that is promised is right now. So pick one thing. My call to action for you right now is just to pick one daily win and do it right now. And watch how quickly your life will improve, even during a global pandemic. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Dr. Dennis, it was a pleasure to have you here with us again. Always a pleasure for you to always be on our show.
My pleasure. Thanks for arranging this, and look forward to the next one.
Yeah. You can feel free to follow us on YouTube. You can feel free to find us on Instagram as well, Total Health Chiropractic, or Crusader Coaching. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. Check out our YouTube channels. It's your YouTube channel is actually under...
My YouTube channel is under my name, Dennis Goldborn.
Yep.
And Instagram is under Total Health Docs.
Yeah. So look us up. We've got great content coming out on a daily basis. So we look forward to having you subscribe to our content so that we can better serve you. And on that note, everyone, goodbye, stay strong, and until next time, take care.
And stay safe.